protests, and even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot, nobody was killed.
Okay, according to Congresswoman Maxine Waters, there was no violence in the LA protests. So in this video, we're going to dig into Maxine Waters' statement, and other elected officials are pretty much dismissing the protest violence as well. So before we start, please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well, and people need to see what's happening. Here we go.
Did not create any violence. Nobody was shot, nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so, when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know. And I went from downtown detention back out into the community, talking to people what happened in Paramount, what happened in Compton, what happened in Inglewood. So, first of all, get it straight.
Now, the clip you're about to watch is from less than 24 hours ago. Remember, nobody was shot, everything was fine, there was no violence, I was on the streets. Straight from CNN.
Behind the camera, this is where these officers are.
Jason, give me 1 second. We're going to go to Aaron Burnett. Aaron Burnett.
As we can.
Oh, wow. Aaron, tell us what's happening.
All right, Abby, so you can see here. All right, oh, you see this? All right, face off here. A lot of rubber bullets are going off. You can see they just was a... Hold on, we're behind. Okay, we're just trying to move. These empty canisters, obviously, are from some of the flashbangs.
And while we're here, that news reporter was detained, by the way. But remember, there was no violence.
Jason, what's going on? I hear you. Am I seeing Jason Carroll being... What happened, Jason?
I am being detained. I am being detained, Laura. I'm not being arrested. Correct, officers?
Did you hear what he told you?
No.
We're letting you go, but you can't come back.
Okay.
Because then if you come back, then you go.
Okay.
Okay, please?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, officer.
Take care. You too. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Now, funny enough, you can actually hear how respectful the police officer was. He was actually like, "It's nice to meet you." But I also want to mention, on night 4 of the LA protest, a lot of protesters were being arrested. But if you were a journalist, you were let go. And by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to please subscribe to my channel. This is what we do here. We hold our elected officials accountable. Okay, so I don't know if Maxine Waters counts looting as violence, but unfortunately, a lot of store owners lost property and money. In fact, there was even a sushi store that had all of their cash robbed and broken into.
When there is a gathering, a large gathering of people, the anarchists see it as an opportunity and they move in. So always have to be careful whether you see a burned car or a broken window or whatever it is. It may be the exuberance of the moment, but it may be the anarchist setting in. I heard one of the...
So in this same press conference, you have Maxine Waters saying, "We have no violence, I was there." But then you have Nancy Pelosi saying, "Well, we do have anarchists who are willing to jump in on these protests and create the violence." So as you're seeing right here, we have some contradictions in their statements, but let's continue.
As it looks like, yeah, we have people right now, look at this, dropping off food and water. I mean, preparations are underway for what could be a long night right now.
Interesting to see that. Christina Gonzalez was saying that this is not an organized rally like we saw earlier in the day, where you have the different organizations that are backing some of these protests. This is more, she said, organic, and maybe that's what you're seeing there. I'm hoping that is...
What are those boxes?
Are those masks of some sort? Are those gas masks?
I'm trying to see that doesn't look like food and water.
Those are...
Looks like masks.
Yeah, no, those are masks. Yeah, so people are prepping for some sort of altercation with police.
So it's funny, even in the broadcast, they were just assuming people are dropping off food and water for the other protesters. No, that's not what was happening. People were dropping off these special masks that protect your face. And in my previous video, we identified these are about $35 a pop. Now the question is, who is supporting this? Who's paying for it? Because they're just handing it out like candy. And again, what you're seeing here, these are people possibly prepping to go face to face with local law enforcement or whoever they deem as opposition, because why else would you wear that mask?
There, because you can't deny the imagery that you're seeing. There are cars being lit on fire. There are police officers being attacked. There are guardsmen being attacked.
Though?
So
to
be honest, I don't really care if you're hurting police officers, if you're damaging property. That you should get your day in court for.
But nothing was happening like that until they sent
this is where it's on the governor to say, let's make this the biggest peaceful protest in history. But the second it gets violent, the governor needs to crack down and show he's capable of policing.
I'm sorry.
Troops there because.
She really said, how many though? Implying, well, how many police officers were actually attacked? Leave your comments down below how you feel about these statements. And again, this is from The View. And I know it's meant to create drama and create clicks, but still, pretty outlandish statements here.
Has it ever happened before? No. How does it feel that it happens in the school? It's horrible. Years of work.
Now, if you couldn't hear her, she was asked, how does it feel? And all she said was, years of work. So again, imagine being this business owner, losing your entire business, and you hear on television, it wasn't that bad, it wasn't that violent, I was on the streets.
Reminds me historically of it's not a clear analogy, but when the nation, when these political factions divided the nation in between slaveholders and slave catchers. When they made everybody with the fugitive slave law, all of us had to, if someone escaped, all of us had to return that particular piece of property to these folk.
Now, this is the perfect segue, because one of the arguments for why we shouldn't have ICE and what we're seeing is that it's pinning people against one another. That legal immigrants want to protect their fellow immigrants who came into this country. However, CNN debunks this. In fact, they debunk it in a massive way. Check this out, because I can't even believe it.
Start off on the fact that immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024 and 2025 versus where they were in 2020. Closest to or trust more in immigration. You go back to 2020. Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group that I could find. The group of voters who became more hawkish on immigration were in fact immigrants themselves, immigrants who are registered to vote in this country.
So that's on that.
What this data is showing us, when Democrats tried to loop in illegal immigrants to legal immigrants, it's not a thing. According to CNN's own data, and it's quite an outlier, legal immigrants do not side with the whole illegal immigrants coming to the country illegally. Legal immigrants actually want deportations.
On that issue, how about how they feel about kind of traditionally, historically about Donald Trump?
Yeah, so, you see this shift and you go, what is going on underneath the hood? Well, take a look, Donald Trump. You remember when he first ran back in 2016, immigrant voters were one of his weakest spots. But look at this, Trump's vote share in presidential elections among, again, immigrant citizens, those who are registered to vote. Look at this. In 2016, he got 36% of the vote. You go to 2020, 39% of the vote. Look at this, in 2024, all the way up to 47% of the vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely losing that vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely winning that vote. Again, there is no block of voters that shifted more to the right from 2020 to 2024 than immigrant voters, and Donald Trump, at least in some surveys, actually won that vote. On average, it's about equal. So there may be all this stuff, right, about undocumented immigrants and Trump being harsh on them, but immigrant voters themselves have increasingly liked Donald Trump and have increasingly moved to the right on immigration and into the Republican camp.
So this is fascinating stuff, because what we keep hearing from California, Los Angeles, we have to get rid of ICE, it's destroying our communities, but overwhelmingly, the vast majority of legal immigrants don't agree with what they're saying over in California.
We need to stop the raids. This should not be happening in our city. It is not warranted, and the only thing it does is contribute to chaos. This was chaos that was started at Washington, D.C. On Thursday, the city was peaceful. On Friday, it was not, because of the intervention of the federal government. We need to...
Donald Trump does not like California. He doesn't like our policies. He does not like our politics. But you know what? That's okay. Because clearly, based on the election, California does not like the personality, the narcissistic personality of Donald Trump, and we clearly do not like his policies. This is about provocation. It was Donald Trump who sent in the military to a peaceful protest. It was about Donald Trump who sent in the military to basically stir things up and give him the image and give him the fight and give him the pictures that he wants.
So these are all updated clips of officials, whether local officials or congressional officials, all really putting the blame on Donald Trump. That, look, everything was fine, but until we had these deportation raids, that's when everything started. So make sure to leave your comments down below how you feel about that.
I don't like to use the word illegal. It is undocumented. Coming into the country without documents, it's not illegal. It's not a crime.
Yes, it is.
Excuse me. It is.
There was a tourist
Can
who
I
got
finish,
arrested in
please?
New York.
It is a misdemeanor. And
it's against the law.
It is
if
a
I steal
misdemeanor.
gum, it's a misdemeanor, but I broke
just
the
a minute.
law.
It is a misdemeanor, just like DUI is a misdemeanor, just like indecent
I've been hit by a
exposure
drunk
is a
driver who
misdemeanor.
died. Don't tell me that's a misdemeanor when he crashed my family go over 100 miles an hour. I'm sorry. That if you want to say that DUI is somehow a misdemeanor and we should treat it like it's not committing a criminal act, you said it's a misdemeanor like it's the same thing.
It is a misdemeanor, just like coming
it's
into
still
the Congress.
breaking the law.
But that's not the
Let her
point.
finish
Let me finish. That's not the point.
You.
There's a lot of misconceptions, and one of them is that it is a misdemeanor to come into the country illegally. If you get deported and then come back in, then it becomes a crime. But even then, if it becomes a crime, that doesn't mean that you're a rapist and that you're a murderer and that you're a drug dealer.
Now, there is a little bit of irony behind that CNN clip. I don't know if that news anchor is aware. We actually know who was captured, and some of these illegal immigrants were rather violent. And I'm totally comfortable with saying not all illegal immigrants are violent, but the conversation starts to really go downhill when you say, well, it's not that bad of a crime, because here's what Tom Homan has to say about the people who were arrested.
But these men and women are putting their lives online every day. They arrested a lot of bad people yesterday and today. They arrested child sex offenders. They arrested people convicted of robbery. They arrested public safety, not only significant public safety threats, but national security threats. They arrested gang members. We're making Los Angeles safer. And Mayor Bass ought to be thanking us for making her city safer. And the term migrant, as Joe Concha rightfully said earlier, they're illegal aliens. There are illegal aliens in this country, and we welcome. We're the most giving country in the world. But these are illegal aliens who committed a crime by crossing this border illegally, then yet committed another crime. Again, yesterday is about a criminal investigation into money laundering, tax evasion, and some of the funds going to cartels in Mexico and Colombia that fund their operations of sending narcotics to this country, killing American people.
Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As I make this video, I'm getting updates that the Marines have showed up to Los Angeles, but the point of this video was to show you have members of Congress who are straight up saying there was no violence in LA. You have others who are saying, well, there was violence, but it wasn't the protesters, it was the anarchists. So you can leave your comments down below how you feel about all of this. When I first heard what Maxine Waters had to say, I was like, are we watching the same protest here? What is she talking about? But anyway, thank you guys for watching. God bless, and we'll see you all later.